Love and longing. Arinir is inquisitive, excited, and apparently likes elevator music. The slightest sound has her trying to turn and look to see what things are. Anything new has her reaching out to it. And whenever there's the non-offensive little jingles that come on for one reason or another, she starts flailing her limbs with a huge smile. Which, considering she's in soft footy pajamas with a little pouch for her tiny tail, is adorable. Of course, the unending procession of well-wishers arrives. Vernon makes a simple rule that Mironnois agrees with, 3 other people in the room at a time. They don't want to overwhelm the little girl, which also means that when Arinir sleeps, only he and Mironnois are allowed in the room with her so as not to wake her unnecessarily. Babies need all the rest they can get. The big blue eyes just melt everyone who sees them, as is her tendency to smile. She's going to have everyone wrapped around her little finger before anyone realizes what's happening. The many sister wives of Cianoir are very eager to meet the early and adorable Arinir. Despite having already bought enough clothing and supplies for all the children easily, everyone shows up with something, bottles and little toys and clothing. But what really gets Arinir's attention is the oldest classic of all, a rattle. Vernon carefully puts it in her hand and gives it a little shake. She then shakes it herself. Then her eyes light up and she starts shaking the rattle like it owes her money. The rattling continues until she loses her grip on the rattle and she can't get it back. She starts to let out little cries of distress until Mironnoir places it in her hand again. It gets shaken all over again and then it promptly gets put into her mouth. Ari starts gumming at the rattle to try and figure it out. She lets out a few sounds and then there's a hiccup with a tongue of flame. Thankfully, the rattle is of apuk make and therefore fireproof. Or at least fire-resistant enough for a war flame to be needed to so much as scorch it. The little bursts of heat from Ari are harmless. One of the funnier reactions are from the bounty hunters and that Jasper character who's on Lacran. They're claiming to have beaten him to the punch by having children in their teen years already. It takes a lot of self-control for Vernon not to say that adoption doesn't count because that's liable to start an argument that will quickly spiral out of control. So he just says that he didn't realize they were in a competition. And he also asks Jasper if he's really got the time for a pissing contest. Isn't he busy conquering the planet or rewriting the laws of physics or something? The response to that is a laugh from the opposite end of the galaxy, followed by being hung up on. Still, it was very nice that even soldiers who were in less than ideal circumstances were sending their blessings. But time keeps turning, and Arinir is a baby. She sleeps as much as she does anything else. She's laid gently down in her crib, and as the room is warm and her footy pajamas are warm as well, she needs no blanket. But Vernon ensures that the mobile above her, resplendent with images of flowers, trees, and cuter versions of several serbo animals, turns gently. Something to entertain her and lull her back to sleep should she wake without a sound. Then they simply stand at the doorway watching. 8 cribs ready, 1 filled. It's going to be a little on the hectic side when all 8 are here, Vernon remarks with a smile. You're looking forward to it. Some kind of hecticness is good. 8 may be a lot of children for a human, but among Apuk families it's tiny. Only when there are many wives, it may be, Mironnoir begins and Vernon places a finger to her lips. Only you, my love. I only want you, he says smiling. We have methods, we have aid, the sorcerers of the wood, your own family. There will even likely be volunteers off the Dauntless. We are not alone, we are not without aid. We lead an army. Parenthood is not a battle. She chides him with a smile and he shrugs. Battle or not, we have a great many to back us up. We are not alone. We are not without entire armies of friends and family to see things turn out well. Perhaps around the time of our next batch, we'll even have my family around to help out as well. Vernon offers and Miro Noir sighs. It's all so certain for you, isn't it? I have been planning and considering and thinking without end. If the unexpected happens, we will deal with it. If it doesn't, then we have a good solid path forward. There's no point borrowing trouble, he says, and she leans into him with a slight giggle. You know we've got this backwards, right? I'm the battle princess. I'm supposed to be soothing your fears. Well, excuse me, princess, he teases. Oh, don't go quoting that awful cartoon. Funny how good games with excellent stories always translate so poorly into other media. Vernon replies and she giggles. It had been an interesting experience to go through each other's media, and her observation of The Legend of Zelda being that all three main characters of Ganon, Link, and Zelda as basically one Apuk battle princess divided by three had been met with a great deal of laughter. She, in turn, had introduced him to Sorcerer's Wrath, a combination of action, survival horror, and mystery solving. You were part of an army that had attracted the unmitigated rage of a sorcerer. You had to stay alive and then try to figure out not only who they were, but what had infuriated them so, and a way to assuage their rage. A bit more intense than he had expected, especially as his lack of a horror reaction had dulled his reaction time to dodging the sorcerer, and he died on the first QuickTime event of the first cutscene of the first game. He had called bullshit on that, many times. Apparently the golden ending of the game involved outright seducing the sorcerer and taking control of the army as a newly crowned battle princess. He could barely get the ending where the sorcerer retreated to the forest to mourn in peace. They just stand together for a while, just watching as Arinir sleeps peacefully. Then, as she stirs, they glide up silently and help her up. The slight smell tells them everything they need to know. Little lady needs to be changed. It only takes a little bit with the baby wipes, some powder, and a new diaper is on. Arinir is hungry again, however, and Miro Noir starts to feed her, even as Vernon tosses out the used diaper. And so the stinky bits begin. Vernon teases lightly as he walks back in. Big day of first's tiny girl. So, I've been speaking with my mother bit, Miro Noir begins. I know, I heard, Vernon says. Oh, why didn't you say anything? Miro Noir asks. It's rude to intrude on private conversations, and I agree with what you were talking about. Having your mother here to help out will be a blessing. She gets to spend time with her grandchildren. We have an experienced hand aiding us in this new chapter of our lives, and our children get even more love and attention to help them grow even stronger. Although between you and me, I think the real challenge will be trying not to spoil them. Vernon answers, and Miro Noir lets out a little giggle. I keep telling myself this is some mushy sitcom come to life, but there's not even that level of drama. You like my family. Hard not to when they like me, Vernon replies as he reaches over just as Arinir stops drinking for a moment to breathe more easily. His fingers lightly poke her stomach, and she makes a half-aborted swatting motion that misses entirely. He chuckles lightly at the reaction before she turns back to keep drinking. Got her priorities straight. Vernon, Miro Noir chides him. Sorry, he says, still smiling. No, you're not, you goof. You're goof, he says, kissing her on the cheek. My goof, she says with a happy smile. Soon enough, little Arinir is full, and after Vernon burps her, she then decides that it's napping time again. But not crib napping, as she wakes up fussy the moment they set her down. She also doesn't want Daddy to hold her, leaving Vernon to be Miro Noir's hands and feet as she sits down on a comfortable chair. He brings her a few snacks and a glass of water before sitting nearby and just watching them both. That's when he hears a whisper from outside. The forest is trying to tell him something. He holds up a finger as he rises to signify he'll be back in a minute, and then heads into the backyard. It calls again, and he walks up to the dark forest flowers he'd been growing along the fence, and after touching them, vanishes. He remerges in a small garden in the middle of the dark forest, and his instincts go wild in every direction. Someone is messing with him, and A massive amount of water is dumped onto him and the area erupts into cheers as the rest of the sorcerers reveal themselves. "Uh-huh. Funny," he says as he wipes some of the water off his face and then sniffs it to make sure it is water. It is, thankfully. "Hey, you're a father for the first time. Why not celebrate?" Derchar asks from behind him, and Vernon turns to see him with the emptied keg. "I was celebrating, in my own quiet way," he answers, and in a moment Dale has him in a headlock. "Oh no, buddy. This is a big first and we're here to set traditions, right? Well, here's one. We sorcerers celebrate our brother's triumphs and help one another through the trials." "Does that mean I can tag you guys in on diaper duty?" Vernon asks, and there's a pause. "Thought so." "Well, yay, but bringing that up now?" Dale asks. "Still, congratulations. There are few things that can change one's life like fatherhood. In fact, it was only after I had my first daughter in my arms that I finally, truly calmed down and was not just some barely contained beast. From my understanding, your daughter is healthy and strong despite being hatched early. I wish you all the best," Brinchar says solemnly as he holds out his hand for Vernon to shake. A human tradition that the Apuk man was actually appreciative of. "Thank you. Although why did you let your son douse me with water?" "He claims it's a ledrous expression of congratulations," Brinchar says before leaning to the side to glance at Derchar. "Although from his expression, I think we've both been had." Vernon looks back to see Derchar grinning unrepentantly. Vernon then just flickers the axiom and the water around and on him goes flying back into the grinning boy's face. "What? Hey!" Derchar protests. "Turnabout's fair play," Brinchar says. "Speaking of fair play, though I noted I'd just be out for a minute, I really want to get back to my wife and child. Of course, no one sane will begrudge you. Enjoy your paternity leave," Koga says, and Vernon throws a salute to them all before Wood walking back to the flowers he's grown in the backyard. "You're all mussed up?" Mironoir asks very softly, and he nods. "Derchar gave me a traditional Lydris congratulations," he says with his hands up for air quotes. "There was a fair amount of water involved." "Oh dear, I get the feeling he may have been toying with you. Which is why I gave the water back," Vernon replies, and Mironoir giggles softly. This wakes up Arinir, who looks around and then starts staring at Vernon. He walks over and crouches down to be close. "Hey, little lady, enjoy your nap?" Her answer is to grab his nose. "Honk." She blinks at the strange sound he made and then smiles before squeezing his nose a little. "Honk." She laughs and squeezes again. "Honk."